Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Careers Plus Plus. I'm Jennifer, your host for today. With me, Professor Dieter Trau and Mr. Bargab Mohandas. So welcome everyone. I hope you have a lovely day today and ready for this first session with us. By now, we all know that this is not a seminar, not a motivational talk, and not even a placement program. It is a guided journey to help all participants, all of us here, become self-reliant in how we think about our career and future growth. Over the next few weeks, we won't tell you what to choose. We'll help you understand how you choose, why you hesitate, and what truly fits you. Today is our first step. And the only thing you need today is honesty, not answers. So with that, I would like to invite Mr. Bargab to start the session.
Thank you so much. So, yeah, I think we already got things under motion, right? So we shared some of our self-assessment questionnaires, and I see most of us have already come across the answers, including ourselves. So I really hope that most of us could see the alignment of what we received out there is pretty much in line with our inner voices. But having said that, let's not worry if that is not the case, because that's why we are here. Okay, so just to do an assessment internally, what we have done, we have also gone through the same exercise that most of our founding 30 members have done, including myself. And for the seasoned ones, what we found that we are very close to what we think inside. So I believe our developed tool is working. All right. So so today, as Ms. Jennifer very rightly said, this is not a seminar. This is not some class. It is what we call it's a pathfinding workshop, as we call it. So basically, we find our paths together. We discuss, and every session we'll have a new topic that's relevant to our career and how we see it. So today, being the first of such sessions, so we start with the program orientation and, of course, like the way to understand ourselves. Okay, let's go ahead with the first slide, please. Okay, so like first of all, before we proceed, right? So first of all, like why this program exists, right? Because like why we need this kind of why we thought of having this kind of initiative, because like careers are never not anymore like one directional. Because when I say the word one directional, so meaning like the time was there before, it was like everyone would perceive a career to be a single directional, right? So there are some perceptions, this is good, this is bad, this is where we should be attracted to, this is where the line should be drawn as forbidden, and so on and so forth. Most often than not, people would always focus on becoming, either going for a job or further studies, and some occasionally will be very much focused on having their own ventures and so on and so forth. But right now that is not been the case, right? Like an individual can be having all of them running in parallel, right? So that's why the careers nowadays are not seen as a one directional movement. It can be multi-directional. And that is why, like the said, that brings us to the second point. Like we came across a lot of such events where like it can be either perceived as career talk or can be taken as motivational talk or whatever, but it always followed sort of like a status quo. Basically, all the participants are seen to be someone who really needs the advice in that particular direction, right? So that's why it was not in the sync with when we say today's aspired desires means nowadays I think with the exposure we have, we all are focusing on multi-directional. People are working and having their jobs, but at the same time, when they have free time, they like to make some YouTube posts for themselves, and of course with proper monetization. Then again, on the weekends, like we come across people who would be maybe doing some of their own small ventures, selling sweets somewhere, things like that, right? So obviously, since the exposure is so high, so automatically people's mind wants to grow and we want to get multi-directional, right? But when we do that, automatically it's very normal that confusion might come, right? Which is very normal and natural. So the way we see through our Careers Plus program, I think this sort of confusions, if we can pave a way to be tackled properly and energized properly, then we can definitely have a better output for every individual. Let's not forget the key focus for Careers Plus is what we really want to see every single individual touched by it, empowered by it with the clarity it receives from this, because an empowered individual can bring empowerment to the society. An empowered society can actually make this whole world a far better place. So that's what we are aspiring towards, and this is what we intend to do together during this course of time, right? So that's why, unlike the old status quo where there were some clear levels, this is good, this is bad. So basically all the time people were focusing on making a career by mostly copying the ones who seem to be perceived to be successful, apparently, based on some materialistic success. But here, what we wish to achieve, that we build our careers by ourselves via what? Via understanding what we are capable of. So that's the first phase to start with. Okay. Now, just to have absolute clarity about Careers Plus. So because you see, when we talk about something, we just need to be absolutely clear what it is, and at the same time, what it is not. Very important, right? So definitely what Career Plus is not, that's more important, because a lot of time, in fact, since the day we got this initiated, we came across a lot of things, in fact, a lot of advices by a lot of people that how to make it financially benefit and what not. In fact, we now made it even free to all, right? So what Career Plus is not, absolutely very clear. It's not a way to make shortcut to success. Because nowadays we come across a lot of program where people guarantee success in a shortcut way, don't need to work hard, work smart, things like that. But the thing is that when we talk about success, I believe the success, if it is not attained through proper toil, proper efforts, it's actually good luck. So that's why Career Plus is not something to guide people, how to attain success with shortcuts. It's not a guarantee of outcomes. It's not like that, okay, we'll assure you'll get this job, this thing, this seat in that so-and-so university. Of course, whenever people make this kind of commitments, of course, in lieu of certain fee and not whatnot. So that's the direction most of such programs take us to. But our vision is very clear, this is not what Careers Plus is. And then it's like a one-size-fits-all roadmap. So when we say one-size-fits-all roadmap, meaning what? Meaning we predefine what is good, what is bad. So basically, whosoever comes and take part in Careers Plus, you have to stay within that boundary of what we have defined as good. No, I think it is a far more than that. So that's why, what is Careers Plus? Number one, it's a decision clarity program. So we really want to enable your thoughts, enable the understanding within ourselves so that we can take the decision with much more clarity. Second, it's a self-awareness journey, because the thing is that A lot of time, like I mentioned right at the beginning, that we came across the inaugural assessment by our questionnaire program, right? So a lot of time, many of us felt that the outcome that came out, it may not be exactly resonating with what they had been thinking about themselves all this while, but it opened a new chain of thoughts that, oh, I never realized that actually I could achieve something in this direction as well. So this is what, it's a process that we have started today, and as we go along, we believe, we make ourselves far more self-aware in the process. Of course, Career Plus aspires to prepare each of us to face the real world choices, because of course most of us who's been enrolled into this are in the very early stage of our careers. So automatically when the career actually starts, we come across a lot of linear, non-linear, dynamic situations in our lives where we have to be well prepared to face those challenges. We believe that this is what Careers Plus can achieve together. And at the end, it's a joint effort towards achieving the success we deserve. So when I use the word joint effort, meaning what? Meaning it's an effort by the participant as well as the mentors. We work on this together, and with the clarity, self-awareness, and preparedness achieved during this phase, we assure first what we deserve, and then focus towards attaining that deservedly desired outcome. Now, coming to the 4 career paths as we have identified together, I believe all the ones who has signed the questionnaire is already aware of this 4. So automatically, obviously we have industry and jobs. Then we have the higher studies and research. Third is entrepreneurship and self-reliant ventures. And then fourth is creative, alternative, and ancestral care. So it's 4 basic job career pathways. Now, just for clarity, it's again going back to the same thing that we mentioned earlier. It's none of them, we cannot rate them that this is 1, 2, 3, 4 is just a number. We cannot say that industry and jobs came at number 1 means it's a number 1 choice. No, nothing like that. Each of them are unique. And as all of you have got in your questionnaire, that you got some indications, right? Some pathways got higher marks, some pathways got, it's not that good or bad. It means that our inner self is more aligned towards that pathway. That's what it says. Okay, so basically what we will focus, that by the end of this journey of 20 odd sessions, we believe that we would be quite clear on which path we are most aligned. Now, just this slide, just as a bonus slide we had decided to put, since this thing is being hosted at the premises of AIT Entrepreneurship Center, because sometimes, like, just to put, this is like our personal belief that deep inside, all of us are entrepreneur in our own way, because entrepreneurship is not just about starting a business of our own. It should actually enable us to think independently, then make informed decisions, and adapting when things don't go as planned. So what do we mean? Think independently, meaning what? Meaning that we have enough clarity that we can think in a manner that serves the purpose. Then when we have proper thinking capacity with well-defined clarity, so automatically we're well informed. So that's why we can make informed decisions, and then that will enable us that whenever life will give us a challenge where things may not happen as planned, we have enough bandwidth that we can amend ourselves then we can automatically, figure out a way how do we get away with the adverse situation and embrace a situation that can take us to the path of success. So that's why, as a concluding note here, what we mentioned that with such adaptability, we can attain self-reliance. And this self-reliance aspect is applicable to every career path. It doesn't matter whether we think about whether we are doing job or we are doing business or we are getting into research or we are doing some creative stuff. Self-reliance is applicable in all aspects. Because without that, we can never, attain or we can never achieve what we aspire. And a lot of time, this is our observation that a lot of time, like maybe people might get apprehensive that this kind of career advice programs are quite a bit. So we already have mentioned how we are different, but just adding why a lot of time this career advices, this advice fails. Because most of the times, these advice are focused towards the outcomes. We focus on the outcome more, that okay, we have to achieve this, we have to do this, we have to do that, without clarity on the process. Because for each individual, it's not the same, right? Like I said, if we go back to the status quo and defining this is good, this is bad, and based on that we put some outcomes. This is the outcome. If we don't achieve it, that means we are bad. But it just may not suitable because the process is not right. Second, a lot of time, like outcome, another thing, people tend to give their advice based on trends, right? Not the temperament. Because a lot of time, a trend, the thing is that if trends are supposed to be followed without thinking much, that means the evolution is not possible. Every time, evolution occurs in our society because of what? Because there are some trendsetters who change the trends, right? And that happens with the right temperament. So a lot of time, if the career advice comes with a trend, this is not right now, the best thing to do is focus on AI. Maybe someone might just say it's only that, it's the hottest thing to do. Let's go ahead and do it, right? But how about a temperament? Like AI for what? Under what circumstances? Things like that. I'm just giving an example. AI is a very good thing, no doubt about it. But then again, I'm just saying because it happened. Like in my own career, I have come across many of such advices. Well, like since from my starting days all the way until now. So it definitely, like whenever career advices are focused towards trends, it just may not work sometimes. Then, of course, the third, which I believe a lot of time we receive advices based on comparison. That, oh, you're studying this, right? Look at so-and-so who studied the same thing like you did, and he or she is today at this position, so you should aspire to be like that. When a career position, when a career advice comes like that, right? Does it have any clarity? It has just an advice to simply follow someone, copy someone, right? So will it really give us the real a real meaning of growth? Maybe no, right? And combining all the three things, so basically most of the times the status quo career advices, the targets are always based on some prejudiced perceptions, not dependent on the individual's vision. Because most of the times, the people who come to train the participants, they always take it for granted that, okay, these are young novices, so we give some standards and they have to just simply follow it to be successful in their life. But nowadays, with the evolution, each individual has their own mindset. Each one if amended well, it can create, it can create wonders. So that's why the individual self-vision is very important. So this is what we'll be focusing. Why we have started, the very first thing we did is sending the questionnaire to each one of you. Because we really want to see how you vision yourself. And based on that, we focus on how to progress ourselves. Okay? So that's why, like, if we simply follow advice from someone simply because of that person's status in the society or whatsoever, right? Think that, okay, this person is successful in his or her life, so let's just follow that advice and we'll also be successful. That just may lead to, may not lead us to the path of success, and we might end up regretting quite a bit. So that the next generation, assuming that we really want to focus that next generation should achieve what, as I always say, that desiredly deserve. So we really want to add value into that aspect so that we exactly know ourselves and progress accordingly. Now, okay, this is a key aspect now that we had been repeatedly saying about self-awareness or understanding self and things like that, right? So what understanding yourself really means, right? Because a lot of time, this is also a trend I have seen in many of our young friends, that due to AI nowadays, it's very easy to brand oneself, right? I mean, you need some information, go to ChatGPT and you get an essay of it, and the smart ones can grasp some gist out of it and tend to, how to say, tend to put it across in a manner that they know everything, right? But is it the real understanding yourself? Because that can give some even false, some false idea about self too, right? So that's why this aspect, it's very important that we speak to ourselves and ask these questions to us. What energizes us? What makes us feel energetic? Equally important, what makes us to feel completely drained out? What makes us to feel very, because we need to know, like I mentioned, right, at the very beginning, everything we do, we should be very clear about yes and no on both sides. So that's why we need to identify, we need to ask this question to ourselves. We can, what energizes us, and at the same time, what drains us out? Then what do we value deeply? Because we all have our value proposition. For some people, value might be compassion. For some people, value might be money. For some people, value might be just feel good. For some people, value might be even ego. I mean, everyone has their own value proposition. So it's very important that what we value the highest. Like for me, value is simply being happy with the people around me, to be very honest. As long as I have it, I can, I feel that the purpose is served. But at the same time, for some people, the value might be, figure out how I get some more money, even though I have to sacrifice all my, self-esteem in the process. Things like that, right? So what we value deeply, then how do we respond to pressure? We need to ask all these questions to ourselves and have a clarity on that, right? Then how do we make decisions? Because now we're preparing, like in an earlier slide, we already mentioned about making informed decisions, right? So right now, how are we taking decisions, right? And last but not the least, very important, what makes us feel free of all burden? Like we must be having something, right? That makes us feeling that, okay, I really feel very relaxed because I don't have any burden. It can be anything. It can be like, oh, good, I don't have anything to do today, so I can watch Netflix whole day. That can be free of burden, right? For someone, it just might be, okay, I had a lot of debts, I paid off all my debts. That can be free of burden. But every individual have to have these questions to self so that they can prepare ourselves. And then only, if we have clear an answer to all these questions, then we can consider we understand ourselves well. Otherwise, we always remain in a cloud, maybe, So that's why understanding self is not about labeling ourselves to be something great to the outside world, but it is important that we recognize all the necessary patterns within. Okay? Now, once we understand ourselves, then what we need to go towards is the key components, the skills, interests, and values, right? So skills is what? What can we do, right? What we are capable of doing. Interest, what attracts us? What makes us interested? You know, oh, I really want this. And then values. Values meaning what we would not compromise, right? So with some of our friends earlier this morning, we had a discussion, and I think we had somewhat similar in this line, right? So it's very essential, you know, because if we focus only on skills in the materialistic terms, we might succeed for a while, but it will drain us out. That's why it is very essential that we blend these three values together for the real happiness. So that's why this is what one of our key intention, that by the end of it, you know, like once we go to the entire process of C++, we can have this ability to blend all these three values in a manner that we can be really, you know, we can be really useful to ourselves. And if we are useful to ourselves, then only we can be useful to the society, right? So that's a very important distinction that we need to have. Now, strengths and energy, right? So this is again another aspect that because you see, like a lot of time, we think what is our strength, the thing that we can do really good, we feel that is our strength, right? But that's not the case, because it's very important to understand what is our strength and where we draw the energy from, because it's all about creating positive energy, as we said right at the beginning, right? So basically strength, of course, what we can do really well, that's our strength. No one is denying that. But what we also have to see, that what gives us energy and what we feel that comes naturally within us. Because there are three different things, right? In fact, the other two are quite related to each other. Because if we just keep on focusing on just, you know, like suppose I'm just saying one simple thing, okay? Let's put it this way. Suppose I'm just giving a very funny example. Suppose we run a restaurant, right? We run a restaurant and a coffee shop. Suppose we do a coffee shop, and I'm very good at making mocha frappuccino. I'm very good at it, you know, I'm very good at it. And since I'm good at it, no matter whatever people would like, I would try to persuade the people, no, you should, because I know that if they order something else, I may not be able to do it very well. So I keep on saying, no, you should just insist, you should drink this only. And in the process, like, because I'm focusing on what I'm good at, right? But someone might say, no, we don't need mocha, we need black coffee. No, you should drink it. See, I'm wasting my energy in persuading that person for something that person does, because I want to do what I'm good at, right? So at the end of it, it will just drain me out for no reason, right? And it doesn't bring. So that's why, like we just need to be very clear about that, what we are good at. That's definitely, but at the same time, what gives us that sense of positive energy? Okay, what is positive energy? These things, as we go along in the succeeding sessions, we'll be discussing, and what we feel that comes naturally to us. You know, so as long as we understand that, then we can definitely derive energy from our, you know, strength and energy from the things that we know how to do. You know, otherwise, if we just consistently focusing on only the things that we are good at, we might end up draining ourselves out. So now that we came across the pertinent points, like I'm just going back to the very beginning of this whole session when we say that C++ is all about adding self-reliance to our lives, right? So that we can definitely grow without any inhibitions and any limitations. So now let's redefine self-reliance again. We just briefly touched it. So once we have come across the preceding slide, so I think we can redefine definitely what self-reliance is not. It's not only doing things all by yourself or never asking anyone for help. Let's not get that misunderstanding. Self-reliance, making ourselves so because we are human and we are social animal, right? So self-reliance is not about it. We don't need anyone in the world. We'll do everything by ourselves and we don't need, no. Self-reliance is we understand ourselves, then we make the conscious choices. Whenever something goes wrong, it's life. Things can go wrong. We have to have the ability to recover. Most important, we have to be accountable for self, not focusing on luck or ruining over someone else that, okay, if something goes wrong, you know, put the onus on something else. No, accountable for self. And last but not the least, have the freedom to judge what is best for ourselves. And this is what we aspire that everyone, whosoever is touched by C++ eventually attains. Now, this is one homework that will come with every session for each of us. In fact, the handouts have been already shared, I believe, so we all have the handouts, and it will be made publicly available anyway. It will be in the website for download and all. So, from this class, I think everyone, not here, not in this session, but at a time when all of us can reflect ourselves well, let's take some, okay, it's been written 2 minutes, we can take 20, doesn't matter. But let's have the honest answers to the self that pertinent to this particular session, that what we are unsure at this point in time about our career. One strength, self-strength, which we rarely acknowledge, not to acknowledge all the time. The thing that we keep on saying we are good at this, good at that, that's fine, but there might be something that we felt at the back of our mind that we might be good at this too, For example, maybe, it doesn't matter. Maybe we are working in a engineering company, but we might be very good cook. At the same, we can cook very good food. That one. And last but not the least, what is the expectation that we have at the end of C++ after we are done with these 20 sessions, right? So I would like each of us to reflect through this and share with self. And yeah, if you have any ambiguity on this one, of course, if you need further help from us, we definitely would discuss on how to take things forward. But this is what, if we can have clarity in answering ourselves these 3 questions, I believe it will be a good reflection on ourselves that we have some level of self-clarity. And okay, I mean, like we have 33 stock keeping units in our program. So pertinent to today's session, we have 3 stock keeping units that will be associated with this, which I think the certified personal assessment is already been done and shared with each of us who has filled in the questionnaire, right? And when we talk about the self-alignment aspect by, actually it's very difficult for me to read there, for the item role fit and strength mapping tool. So this is an SKU that's relevant to both this session as well as session number 2. So after session number 2, we'll be releasing this SKU and it will be available to all of us. Okay, so that we can start making use of it, and then we will see that how it takes us forward. All right. So yeah, for today's, I think discussion session. That's pretty much it for today's slides. So I think we just go forward with our group discussion from here on. Thank you.
Any questions? We invite our participants in person and online. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask. Maybe I can ask Professor Dieter and Mr. Bargab while waiting for their question. So, about career confusion. So, when did career start feeling confusing for you, based on your own experience?
Mm. I mean, I have my personal goal after every 10 years to do something different, which I think is good. But the last thing I did, something really different, it took me 16 years to come to this conclusion. And yeah, and now I'm also thinking, to do something different and to find a new path. And the slide, I think it's very important. The one, the skills, interest, and values. Basically, we discussed this slide in the context of making a career. So you can actually make a formula out of it. So skills plus interest plus follow your values is equal to career plus happiness.
Correct.
Now, if you do the formula further, happiness is equal to stress. You can substitute one.
Correct.
So, or you make it like skills plus interest plus values minus happiness becomes only career. So I was thinking about this formula to.
I think
I
mean, as we go along, right, we are going to elaborate. Now, coming back to the question that you had, Miss Jennifer, about careers confusion, right? So actually, one good thing you see, so for all of us, so when Professor Dieter said at his level of acumen and experience, and he's still exploring new paths, so that's, you see, with someone of his level of achievement still. So I think it's a natural thing to think, it's natural thing to explore and think of more and more. Personally, for me, yes, career confusion always existed. Even for me, it existed. It existed because we did not have C++ back then. We did not have Careers Plus. so the first few slides that we put, it's purely based on what we came across. We had been told that, ideally there are two choices: either go for your PhD or just go for a job. And yes, like frankly speaking, I think it took me about 4 or 5 years to actually decide whether I stick to the job or explore the options for further studies. And eventually, okay, by the time I was about 26, 27, then I thought, okay, maybe if now go for a PhD, it might be too late. So and I already have some establishment, better focus on this job, and then gradually went into this entrepreneurial this thing. So yes, careers confusion always existed, and it sometimes can be very detrimental too to our psychological health. And this is what we really want our next generation not to have, that kind of ambiguity, that kind of inner clash. And I believe with C++ implementation, that can be elevated significantly. And as Professor said very rightly, yes, all the aspects that has been put across as we go along with each session will have the enhanced and evolved version of each of them. Yeah.
So I have a question. Is there any choosing a multiple path?
Risk in taking multiple path means doing job and business. Honestly, I would say, see, the thing is that, again, if we have self clarity, if we exactly know what we are doing, I don't see a risk. But then again, I don't recommend take all the four paths at the same time, because I think you are doing it right. You're having a job, and you are also doing your studies, right? So see, you're doing, and do you think it's difficult?
Yeah, I can manage.
Yeah, see, so you can manage. See, the thing is that if we take two paths at a time, I believe it's manageable, right? And like most of the times, I think I have come across quite a few of our participants where who got very close marks between like numbers between job and business. For some, business is slightly higher, job is number two. For someone, job is slightly higher, business is number two. So it's clear indication that those people should start with jobs. But definitely in 4 to 5 years' time, they, with some more clarity and assuredness, they will move towards their entrepreneurship venture. So yeah, I mean, if amended well, I believe it can be managed more than one. What do you think, Professor? Do you want to add on that?
And
Yeah, I
how do
think.
we know that we are on the right path? Like I'm doing, but I like, what if it's not working for me? It's like there is this thing, right?
If
Right.
you
Okay, maybe
if
Professor.
you're constantly unhappy, then it's wrong.
True. See, the thing is that the easiest, this is what we really want to, how to say, explore and at the same time expand across the spectrum. See, we give too much of importance of many things that we take as, you know, measure of success or whatever. But at the end of the thing, what Professor Dieter said, that nails it. Are we happy? Right? So while maintaining two things, if you feel that you have been doing reasonably good either way, and you have that peace in mind, it doesn't keep you awake in the night. Yeah, you're doing the right, doing it the right way.
It keeps me whole night awake.
Any more questions?
Professor Dieter, I think do you want to add on the more than one path?
So we
Professor?
have a question from the chat.
Oh, okay, okay.
So thank you, Tyson, for asking. So his question, as an early professional, how can I effectively learn new skills informally when changing a new job? When changing to a new job?
Sorry, can you come in again, please?
As an early professional, how can I effectively learn new skills informally when changing to a new job?
Well, I think this again has to be aligned with our own inner skill set and inner interest, right? Because we should not burden ourselves that okay, we have to learn something new. It should align with what is our interest in terms of both career as well as our skill set. So if someone really wishes to have some clarity that okay, let me put it maybe in perspective so that it's easier to understand. So suppose someone is looking for a job or looking for some kind of a career path. It can be anything, but that is not immediately available, and we suddenly got a job. So as a transition phase, we step into it, but broader perspective is to attain that goal, right? So if that is the case, I believe like we just need to be honest with ourselves and honest with the job that's feeding us, but at the same time, we just focus on enhancing that skill. But we have to be very clear what that is, because arbitrarily we cannot, we cannot give. So we have to be very clear that I want to be achieving this, and currently I'm doing that. So if we have those two, this and that, properly defined, then definitely we can work around.
Maybe we can ask Tyson, what is your current job and what job do you want to
True,
pursue in the
true.
future so that we can align your new skills
Definitely.
to get that new job? If
Definitely.
you can give us some more context, Tyson, then we can help him more.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
Hey, can you hear me? Yes.
Yep.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I'm currently working as a project coordinator at an organization, and I would say that I'm not very happy with my current position, and also there is a position that people already ready to hire me at a different position, which is marketing part, like because I prefer working from home instead of going to office every day, and so there are some skills that I can transfer and step into the new job, but at the same time, it's not completely the same job, so I feel like I have to learn a lot, like to be able to perform well for the new job. So in this me time, and I want to know like how can I effectively learn like the best way to make things work, because I want to change like quickly, because I have decided that I want to try this new job because I'm not happy with my current position.
Okay, so a quick question, Tyson. So, what are the reasons that you feel you are not content with your current job? Do you have you ever asked yourself the
Uh,
precise? Is it lack of recognition or lack of workplace happiness? What is it?
And I would say, yeah, including workplace happiness, working with a lot of people, like some people that, like we don't have the same, I don't know, like some like behaviors, talks, there are things that I don't like with these people. And also, I would say that the one I'm doing is like very local NGO. So there is, and it's very limited to do the work. Like I can't do like marketing fully because I have to be careful with law constraints and things. So it's not very free to do the work that I don't feel like I'm gonna be like growing the business, me, the project, because it's limited, and I feel like it's like it's stopping this way, and it's like it's just yeah, I'm feeling this way, yeah.
So basically, you have 2 points, right? One is lack of workplace happiness, and second, lack of growth, right?
Yes.
Okay. So next question: do you have some perceived growth plan for yourself? That do you have any thought that where you want to see yourself going forward?
Yes. So as I have like one thought that I want to continue to learn, have more free time, and work from home, and then get growth like in career, of course. So I already have that connection to get a chance to start working on working from home and get a job and do marketing freely without thinking about any limits. So I mean I have the opportunity already, but what I want to know is like switching these things. It was a big decision for me, and I'm afraid if I can make it, I mean changing to a new job is like kind of pressure for me for now. Yes.
Okay, maybe Professor, you can also add after me. What I would say at this point in time, maybe we can have a separate discussion on this. We can set up a separate call with you to discuss and figure out a way. But very briefly, like 3 points. First of all, that workplace happiness thing that you mentioned, this is something very subjective. You cannot guarantee this thing anywhere. Because if you land up in a new place, you might have some new challenges, right? So if you have a workplace happiness issue, please figure out exactly like, internally that what are the points. And you can always discuss with us, not, in a private chat. We can have the discussion, right? Number two, that you mentioned that if you have to change this job, it can be a very big change in your life. So you mean to I understood that you have job security here. Job security is not an issue for you, right? And number three, the place where you think you can get the growth, well, in that aspect, what I can tell you is that if you see, there are very few places where the accelerated growth and extreme job security might come together. Because if you decide to go on some startup or something, your growth might be very fast, but then do you have a job security? That is something you need to think about too. So I believe with more like a personal discussion we can actually schedule a call separately for this. We can go in depth, but these are the three main points I would like to put forward. And then if we learn more about your real situation, we can definitely take you through this process. Professor Dieter, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, so you have to think about what is under your control and what's not under your control. It's basically follow up what you said with the workplace. You know, what's under your control is to change your job. So, you know, you can make the decision and that decision is under your control. What's not under your control is where you will go exactly, the environment. You may not, you know, it's not fully under your control, but what's again under your control is, you know, how you interact with those individuals there. You know, that's again is under your control. So you have to think about what's under your control, it is what not under your control. And, you know, another thing is what usually people do is they often make decisions on the risk. So if there are two options, one is lower risk and one is higher gain, often the decision is on the lower risk. So that's what people tend to. But the real people that make some big steps, they choose the other side. They choose opportunity.
It depends. Very quickly, may I know how was your assessment inclined towards the assessment that we did based on the questionnaire? So is it inclined towards job or towards entrepreneurship, or what is it? Do you mind telling that?
Yeah, let me have a quick check back.
We strongly recommend you go through it in depth and figure out that how close it goes to your own alignments. Yeah.
I have like more scores on job.
More towards job, right? Okay, so okay, okay. I'll get your name. I'll check it, and I think about to go about your way. Let's fix a separate call later on, right? A customized one, and we discuss and we get away. We get out of your. You know, we'll help you to get out of your predicament. We work it out together. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tyson. So yes, we will schedule another discussion with him now privately later on. Any more questions from our audience?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Nasif.
Okay, so I have gone through my assessment. My assessment shows I'm more inclined towards entrepreneurship, and I have actually done both, like job, business, like multiple. I have already done startups, finished, failed, a lot of things in entrepreneurship already. So I am like the experiment type. I've also already experimented a business in Thailand in my short stay here in December and January. So yes, I do agree that I'm more inclined toward entrepreneurship, but the other things which I have questioned towards that, I have a very high DART rate and I have low happiness. So I would like to know what that actually means. I did go through the assessment, but it was still not very clear to me. So I would like to know what does the DART rate actually means and why do I have low happiness?
So, okay, you're not the only one who wants to know about it. So, okay, two things. First of all, I think together with your assessment, there was another document that was sent that explains that how those ranges work. Have you gone through that? It should explain that what your range actually reveals about you. Did you go through that?
Yes, I actually went through everything, but I would like to hear it from you actually. What like let's compare with someone else and like what does high and low means. Like I have gone through it, but for more clarity, I would like to hear from you.
Okay, so two things. First of all, when we talk about a dark race, right? So sometimes the name is very confusing. So seeing that confusion, we just actually issued a concept note, which is going to be one of our contents explaining in depth what is dark race. It'll be shared right after this, okay? But to put it very briefly, so don't misunderstand that dark race simply because of the name is something bad. So this is basically a tool where we see it actually shows we have very high inner self energy. Now that energy, if amended well, can do wonders. But then if not amended well, it can also create destruction. So that's what. So we have that what we call firepower. The thing that people always say, this guy has a fire in him. So this is that fire we're talking about. If amended well, it can be very constructive, but if amended not well, it can have serious problems. So I believe your moral values are reasonably well, right? So someone with a reasonably good moral value and with high dark traits, it can be very good combination actually.
And what about the happiness part?
Well, happiness might be not very high, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, my happiness.
I don't remember your this thing, but okay. But seeing you, very closely a couple of times, I believe your happiness number is very low, right?
Yes.
Okay, but I still believe it will be higher than me because mine is maybe even lower, and we have someone who has very low, super low. So there is nothing to feel bad about it. When you say happiness is lower, meaning that your entire feel-good factor in your life is dependent on the success of the business that you are doing. So basically, people who has very high happiness, meaning they're happy regardless success or failure at their work. So success or failure at work cannot disturb their happiness. They're more, governed by their psychological happiness. But people whose happiness index is low means they find happiness through their work. When their work is successful, they're very happy. But when their work is not going the way they want, in spite of all the happiness at home, they don't feel good about it. Clear?
Yes, much clearer. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's why normally people who are inclined towards entrepreneurship and all, their happiness indices are bound to be low because they feel happiness only at work. Okay? So you don't have to worry that your happiness is low and your dark rates are high, so you're not like a unhappy unhappy guy. No, it's not like that, it's a good thing. You are as powerful inside as you look outside with all your muscles. So be very happy about it. Okay? Anyway, I honestly feel that we have a lot in common, so we have a lot of things to discuss together. I'm very happy. I'm very glad that you joined it as the first participant in this thing. So let's do things together. Okay, Nasif, have a good day.
Do we have any questions from on site? Any questions from here?
I have two questions. The first one is that when you're jumping into a new venture, what are you overcoming and how are you overcoming it?
See, what we overcome, we don't know. And I mean, okay, if you look at someone like me, so normally it is more about being passionate about what we believe and jump on it, right? So normally, and get my fingers burned in the process. So it's not that we do something means we have to be successful, right? So certainly when we, from a business perspective, you ask it from a business perspective, right? Or from the job, or anything, because there's a big difference.
More so on a business perspective.
Yeah, because the thing is that because normally when you go and do a job, you don't jump on it. You just apply randomly and someone calls you for an interview and you get the job, right? But when you talk about the business, so obviously when I see it from my perspective, and in fact I would request Professor Dieter to elaborate too. Obviously every time I decided to get on a business venture, it's purely on my own conviction that this is what I feel is right. A lot of time, maybe it was against the status quo, but I just had faith on what I wanted to do, and I did exactly that. I won't comment if it's entirely successful or not successful, but we learn our lessons, right? So basically, but the thing is that when we go through our C++ program, right? So this is what I feel like. I made a lot of mistakes. I got my fingers burned many times. I got real hassles all throughout, even now. But maybe God has been kind upon me to give me the strength all the time. Every time I get into a adverse situation, I came out much stronger. I think God has been, I just have to say, God has been very, very, very kind. But the thing is that, honestly, I don't foresee people should get into that kind of stressful situation. So that's why in C++, we want to make our all of our people who get touched by C++ have that preparedness so that they don't jump on fire. They just so that is one thing. Second thing, how to overcome. So how to overcome is, again, it again goes back to the same thing: clarity on what went wrong and what exactly we want. If we have these two answers, then we can find a way to bridge it. Okay, so that's how I would see it. So that's why, like, you asked me the question what and how. Yes, I managed to salvage the situation, but I don't want any one of us to get into that situation, and that's why we have C++, where we make everyone more prepared, more assured of ourselves. Yeah, Professor, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think what we mainly do is, to prepare people, and to develop their personality and they understand what they really want. Also, sometime in my career, I must say I changed some of my values. Before I was very happy, and when I had a lot of to-do stress and things, I think you had the same, right?
Likewise.
Yeah. And
More
then-
work means, wow, I mean, I'm
Yes,
so
more work
stressful.
means
A great day.
excitement. It's So at some point of time, there was like this, but I think now I'm changed these values. And that's normal. I think you will change over your life.
It's same, like before, it was a matter of, it was like an honor of badge. Today I had 15 meetings. Today I had my lunch while driving and things like that. We feel like honor of badge. Now we feel it was utter stupidity. So things tend to change. But again, like we have to go through all the process. So what we in at C++ we want to achieve is that combine things together and make it an optimum balance. Yeah.
One more question.
Sure, please.
Like being an introvert and being an extrovert, how do you get over, like, what is your take on it? And how do you get over the stigma and like certain attitudes to become like more balanced?
Well, like I said, right, I think both being introvert or extrovert, it occurs, why? Due to lack. This is something we are touching base in our second session this Friday. But okay, this can be a prequel. It happens due to lack of clarity, If you're clear, why you're introvert? A lot of time you don't express yourself. Why? Out of the fear that if we express and it turned out to be something wrong, we might just lose the face. And sometime, what is extrovert? Extrovert is, again, it's about, like, there are two possibilities. That we might have some understanding, which due to some wrong reason we feel we know everything and we just end up talking everyone, or sometime even worse. We might have an inferiority complex, but to hide it, we just end up talking too much just to, prove a point. But both this being introvert or being extrovert turns out due to two things. First of all, it's about lack of clarity, and second is an unnecessary sense of like self consciousness. You see, and it's actually is another form of ego. I mean, we don't want to lose our face. That's why we do this, right? So that's why, like, if we improve the clarity within ourselves and improve our sense of self-realization or self-consciousness, because the thing is that there is nothing to lose our face. Like a lot of time, someone will ask a question and people who is not comfortable answering that question, which, oh, it's a stupid question, I don't answer these things. No question is ever stupid. I mean, any question, so it's as simple as that. So I believe, like, with better clarity in mind and better sense of like self consciousness, we should be able to have a balance. Not too extrovert, not too introvert. Yeah.
Any more questions?
มีคำทำอะไรไหมครับภาษาไทยก็ได้นะครับเพราะอีกไม่นานก็เราจะมีเวอร์ชันไทยอยู่แล้วคุยได้นะอย่านั่งเงียบอ่ะนะอย่านั่งเงียบมีอะไรก็ถามได้เลยเดี๋ยวตอบให้แล้วก็ผมแปลให้ทุกคนฟังด้วยมีไหมอะไรนะครับสัปดาห์นี้มีอีกวันหนึ่งนะวันศุกร์มีด้วยนะนะ No, I think they take it too easy. They just thought they can ask me anything in the office. You ask me in the office, I don't answer. นะไม่ตอบนะถ้าไปถามที่ออฟฟิศไม่ตอบนะ so you know so they sit in my home office so they just thought it's very easy they can go and ask me in my office so which I told them I won't answer them so this has to happen here you know and I just give this เนี่ยไทยภาษาไทยก็ได้นะไม่ต้องกังวลนะครับ all right so I think that's yeah we have I think Professor Dieter do we have any more questions from anyone
I think they're trying to take it all in. This is,
Okay.
after all, our first session, and we will have 19 more sessions to go. But yes, thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah.
And for next session, Mr. Prakabi, you want to give some
so
intro for the next?
I think we are just like taking forward from today's session. So today, okay, it's like we just sort of get an idea that what we are going to get in next remaining 19 sessions, right? So we'll extend today's session in terms of like how we identify. So today we just got the basics of the traits that we are going to discuss. So we'll just prolong this discussion in terms of how we map, like, for example, the question that you ask, it's very pertinent to what we are going to discuss next week, that how we actually define between lack of clarity to clarity, how we define between, you know, lack of confidence to confidence, then what is the boundary between confidence and overconfidence? What is the boundary between overconfidence to ego? Things like that. So we'll discuss all these traits. Yep. So the first two sessions this week would be on the basic traits as individuals that we all face across. Yeah. And I think as the conclusion one, I think for Mr. Tyson, we will schedule a separate call out of these sessions to understand his issue and then get around with that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bragab. Thank you, Professor Dieter. And thank you, everyone, for joining our first session. Be sure to join our next session on Friday, this Friday at 4 p.m. And next session will begin understanding your patterns, strengths, and tendencies without judgment. So, yes, come and join us next Friday. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.